Welcome to the Wombs of the World podcast. My name is Charlotte Brielle. I am your host and executive director of Wombs of the World, a global movement dedicated to improving maternal health outcomes through education, storytelling, and cross-cultural collaboration. Here on the podcast, we explore how culture is dynamic and birth is universal. This is a space for remembering, for reimagining, and for reclaiming birth as a sacred thread that connects us all. Today, we're joined by Nina Vermeulen, a doula, creator, and spaceholder based in Belgium and the founder of Your Voyage Home. Through her one-on-one work, workshops, and performative rituals, Nina invites people to slow down, breathe, and reconnect with the cycles and stories that shape their lives. I am so grateful to have you here today, Nina. Can we get started by having you just introduce yourself to me and our listeners?
Yes. So I'm Nina and I'm a doula, I'm an artist, a healer, and I accompany people through moments of change, through waves of change. This can be birth, pregnancy, also moments of loss, or people that want to align their life more with who they are. So I do that through artistic work as a doula, but also space holding through workshops and so on.
Where are you based?
I'm based in Belgium, in Bruges. I love to travel though, so I often replace myself.
Tell us a little bit about how you got started on this journey.
A few years ago, I went to Costa Rica and I consciously took that travel because I thought that I was closing a big chapter of my life, like the first 25 years, 26 years of my life. And up until then, I was more in the role of a daughter, of a friend, more like this. And I thought that a new chapter would come and I needed time to make that transition, like very consciously. So I took the plane, went for a few weeks to Costa Rica. And there in the very end, I felt stepping into a new role as a mother, as a lover, as a partner, as an entrepreneur. And I think many seeds are planted there in that pathway. Yeah.
Mm, that's interesting. My journey in birth work also started in Costa Rica. It was also for me, it started the summer that I turned 20, and I learned what a doula was. I was like living on an intentional community, working on a farm, and a woman told me her birth story via slam poetry. Talk about this a lot, and she told me what a doula was. And then similarly to what you just expressed, on my actual 20th birthday, I did a big swim. And I had a lot of people join me. And the idea of the swim was to swim out to Isla Ballena, but we ended up just swimming to like the tip of the whale's tail, which was still a pretty huge swim for like a landlocked human such as myself. And this incredible human being was accompanying me, this man named Mash Alexander. And as we were like swimming back to shore, he was like, as you get out of the water, like you may choose to begin this new chapter of your life. You're no longer a teenager, as I was turning 20. And it was just this like super beautiful, deep, transformative experience. And so all that to say, I love that our shared roots are Costa Rica for the planting of the seeds that have led us here today.
Yes. And I remember before I went there, I was still doing a job. I had a house. I was like, yeah, my life was very organized and settled, but I felt that I needed to expand and go into something new. But I remember that at that time, previous colleagues were pregnant. And there was a moment that I said, oh, yeah, once in my life, I still want to be a midwife or a doula. And some of them were laughing. I love that, Nina. You always have those big dreams and you just chase them. And at that time, I just felt like, yeah, it's going to happen. I'm just not ready yet, but it's going to happen one day.
I think that that's something that resonates with a lot of us. Like we get the calling at some point in our life, and then it's like this deep knowing of like, oh, yep, that is a path I will walk someday. But for me, at 19, I was not remotely ready to accompany women through the greatest transition of all time. I needed to grow up. I needed to cultivate my tools and who I am as a person. And now 15 years later, we're rolling. But yeah, I think that the call to birth work is indeed such a calling. It does not impact everyone.
No, I think many
Yeah.
people that end up there, looking back, they can see like different moments in their life where it was already present. So when I left Costa Rica, I really felt like starting this new chapter into motherhood. After that, I moved to Italy, where I did a course, performative arts. And at that time, I was still looking like, okay, what do I want it to be about? But this topic of motherhood came up again and again and again. So I was already having a strong desire to be a mom, and I decided to consciously take that time before to really prepare for motherhood and to think like, okay, what are the things that I received from my family, from society? What are the stories that are saved in my womb that happened to me? And what is it that I would love to pass on to the next generation?
Mm-hmm.
So I started to write a lot. I was talking a lot. I started to have beautiful conversations with my mom, with my grandmother, asking them like, what happened during pregnancy? How did you look at me? How was birth? Were you excited when I was there? Or what happened before? Trying to get to know just the story of the womb and the environment of the womb. And then I started to think about, okay, what is it that I would love to pass on? What is important to me? And I felt that the womb is like this kind of no man's land. It's like a preparation in which a very pure being is coming. And during this 9 months, this soul is being prepared to come to the earth. So what is to me important? What do I want to tell about humanity before they come?
Mm.
And on a certain moment, I wrote a song, a letter, as a message to a future child. And I said, like, okay, I just want to let you know that I'm here and that you're welcome to come over. And this is what I have to offer to you. And it became a performance that I often call a performative ritual. So I wanted to copy a bit a sensation of belonging or the sensation of being in a womb. So we made a circle and the audience was sitting in a circle and I was standing in the middle sharing my message. And um, around the audience, there were still other performers. So they felt very held by the sound that they made, by the music that they made. And in the meantime, they could watch something inside growing and expressing itself. And yeah, so I did that performance. And very soon after, I became pregnant. And I was super surprised about it, even though I had spent a lot of time, preparing myself for it. I still was very surprised and I didn't think that message would be so strong. But then I lost my child during pregnancy and my whole world turned upside down. All of a sudden, I didn't know anymore who I was, where I wanted to go, how I had to look at love, at life, what were my dreams.
Uh-huh.
At that moment, I was also very confused about, am I a mother or am I not a mother? Because I do feel like it, but in the meantime, I'm not practically taking care of a child. And then I decided that was the right moment to follow my path as a doula. So that was the moment that I felt, okay, now you can really step into the role that has been waiting for you. So I started to follow a course to become a doula.
Yeah.
And it made me very motivated to help other people also, not during pregnancy and birth, but also preconception, and to like release that pressure of whether or not having kids, but feel that wherever you are, you have something meaningful to pass on to the next generation.
Mm.
And if we can connect to that part, and if we can connect to our body and trust our body in whatever is going through or whatever is happening, I think that can be so powerful. I share these stories with other women and they ask me like, okay, what do you do? And I say I'm a doula, but actually I'm really interested in the preconceptional phase. And because I feel the desire to be a mom. And when I start talking, I hear all these kind of stories that are never been told. I hear about the
Mhm.
women that like are in a relationship and always wanted to have kids and then decide like maybe this is not for us. Maybe in this relationship we shouldn't have kids. So are we okay?
Mhm.
And even if they choose that, there's still a grieving process because
Uh,
it's their whole life and that dream changed. Or there are women that decide to separate because of that. Or there are women that feel like, actually, I don't want to have kids. And I almost don't dare to pronounce it because there's so much pressure. Yes, have kids. And, or maybe I want kids, but not biologically. Or maybe I have a kid and actually I really didn't want it. Or they are like approaching their 40s. And there's all of a sudden a lot of pressure because only now they met their partner, or they are single and they feel like, I want it, but I don't know how. And there's so many variations of stories. And I often feel like we've been isolated in those stories. And I have felt very
Mm,
fortunate. And this is probably why there is my passion to come out with it and to feel connection, because it's not about that everyone want to be a mother. Like, I love to be in this mother role, but that doesn't mean that I need to have kids. Like you say, you are mothering so many mothers. So you are in a mother role very, very often. But practically, you have the chance to be like, hey, I'm gonna sleep tonight. No worries. I don't need to take
yeah,
care of it. And that is like a very
it's
cool
such a
choice.
privilege.
Yeah, it's a privilege. And for some people, yeah, we cannot always live the way that we would love to, but how can we still find purpose in it, or meaning?
Something else that's been coming up for me recently, and I'm curious if you have words of wisdom on this particular matter. I'm surrounded by people right now that are trying to get pregnant.
Mm.
And so, because I do the work I do, I get messages all the time from friends from different periods of my life that send me a text message and they're like, we're trying to get pregnant. It's been 5 months. And either they're looking for general, like hands on advice. Um, but the part that I find so much more interesting is the the emotional toll that it takes trying to get pregnant,
Mhm.
especially when we spend the majority of our life avoiding pregnancy. And then all of a sudden, like that energy shifts. So the energy with the partner shifts so much, and relationship to intimacy shifts so much. Um, but then your period comes, and it can be really wild and just emotional, and it's especially interesting when birth workers are trying to get pregnant, because it's like we've counseled our clients through this, and we've counseled our other friends, and then it's our turn, and we know so much, but my question to you is, what kind of words of wisdom do you have for those that are currently in the trying to get pregnant era of their life and then still getting their periods?
Mm. First thing that comes up is be sweet for yourself.
Mhm.
I recognize that so much. I recognize um, how sometimes your period coming up can be very harsh, especially when you're surrounded by other people that do have kids or that are pregnant. And the birth workers, we love that. Otherwise, we wouldn't be there. But still, it can be a big confrontation. And we put a lot of pressure on our cycle. We put a lot of pressure on our body. And that's just not how nature goes, right? Nature needs time. Nature needs time to like release all the stress we had in the years before and really the stress that is currently present, and like have how do we like detox, but also like an emotional detox. So yeah, my first feeling is like, be sweet with ourselves, be loving with ourselves, and let ourselves be also held and embraced through that, because it does hurt. It does hurt to go through that.
Mhm. I feel as though what you were saying beforehand about just how so much isn't like talked about.
Mm.
This is another chapter of becoming a mother that is so hidden. Like when people are very rarely openly talking about, like, yeah, we're trying right now, or like, we're having unprotected sex. Like, no one is, very rarely are people openly talking about that. And then instead, because it's so hidden, in the same context that people don't share that they're pregnant regularly until 12 weeks. And then it's like, I'm always like, but what if you lose that pregnancy, and you're then going to be alone in your grief.
Yes.
So I think that's another part of the work that we're doing as birth workers, is is bringing attention to this incredibly sensitive and sacred time and normalizing it. Like, miscarriages happen all the time. Like, there's a good chance you are interacting with women on a regular basis that you do not know. Like, they are waiting tables, they are making your coffee, like, you are interacting with them, and they are simultaneously miscarrying because it can take weeks. It can take weeks for the body to fully release. And these are just things that never, like, that concept didn't cross my mind until I was like well into birth work. That, wow, women around me are miscarrying regularly, like 1 in 4 pregnancies. And it is never talked about. It's not mainstream at all. And then all of that pain and all of that grief is strictly held by the woman, strictly held by that mother. And then what you were saying earlier that touched me so deeply, of that question of, am I a mother? How do you feel now? Do you feel, how would you identify in that?
It's
Yeah, of
one of
course.
the hardest questions that I can get.
Mhm.
Or if people are asking, like, do you have kids? Because what I feel from inside, I would say immediately yes. I
Mm,
feel all of my child and I am a mother. And for me, emotionally, there's no doubt about it. But if people ask me this, they would never expect an answer like, yes, but my child passed away. Or yes, but I lost my child in the womb.
yeah.
They would never expect that. They are just like there and asking me, "Do you have kids?" And then and they're like, "Yeah, I'm craving for it. I'm longing for it,
Mm,
but I cannot show it." And what
mhm,
has been confronting lately is seeing other friends and loved ones turning into mothers and having conversations in which I so clearly feel like, in this case, I am not a mother yet. When they talk about very practical things and they have lack of sleep, or they have to think about how to feed them, or they struggles in those elements, or I am a mother until a certain point, and
mhm,
also stops on a certain moment. It stops because I do have the freedom to travel without thinking about my kids. I can take him with me if I want to. Emotionally, he's with me. So there's no worry about that. But it is a difference that to me was very hard feeling how I perceive myself and how I know that I will be perceived by others. And many birth workers don't hesitate and call me a mother. And I love it when they say me like, you're such a beautiful mom, Nina. I can see it. But I also understand that others wouldn't perceive me like that. And
uh,
I think that's one of the hardest things.
well, I think that so often people are asking questions without thinking twice about it, like, they're just kinda asking a casual question, and because of the work we do, we know how complicated those answers can be. If I support a client through a stillbirth, like, I will be one of the very, 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 very few people in the universe that has witnessed them as a parent, that has,
Mm,
like, witnessed what they went through, that witnessed the birth of a mother, because that's very much like you lost a child at that point. And that's a privilege that we hold, to be these sacred witnesses, to be very exceptional witnesses. And that's sometimes when I describe myself as a doula, I'm like, I'm a witness to sacred transitions. Okay, so tell us now about what your actual practice looks like and what your work is and all that it is.
yes. I'm still a bit like, sometimes scared to take my steps into this field and come out with it, especially because I'm choosing topics where I feel that many stories are hidden. But I feel mostly helping people through these transitions in a way, like whatever transition you're going through, there's a part that you need to let go of and a part that you can welcome. Whether it is loss, whether it's birth, whether it is whatever, there's parts that you feel that can be like a loss and there's a new chapter that you welcome. And what I love to do is help people to create layers of support around them, to go and look for those people that can support them through the transition, whether it is someone professional or just like close friends and people that are, and it can also be nature, it can be religion, but those elements that they can feel like I'm not alone in this transition, where
Mhm,
that they are held and that they can just mention to other people like, hey, I'm going through something, or hey, I would really love to get pregnant and it might be quite a journey. I would love some extra layer of support. Do you want to be that for me? Like, this is to me a super important element, these layers of support.
Yeah, that's just a tool. It's like such an important tool to teach her to just
Super.
scream from the rooftops, how to have people ask their community for support. We're not good at it.
I would let it come from the heart, and it is very tender sometimes to us that I would really love some extra support. Are you willing to hold that space for me? And the other person has the chance to say no. Sometimes it can be very practical, like, hey, I'm going through these sessions and I would love that someone would cook for me after every session. But it could also be like, I'm going through something and I would just love that you are present to call me if I need to, or,
Mhm.
you ask me about it sometimes, or can I send you a message sometimes? Yeah, this is very challenging. We are not used to ask for help in something that feels very tender. It's also something that I'm still learning. It's not that I got it all together in this, but this is to me a very important one.
Mhm. And tell me a little bit about how you weave music into your work.
Yes. Recently, for example, I created a little performance in which I play harp music and then I combine it with storytelling, and the storytelling
Mm,
grief or loss. And
mm,
in this case, it was called Melting Memories, and it connects to the water that is in the world and that is present in our bodies, and how
beautiful.
memories are frozen and feel a bit stuck or locked up in our bodies. And I started with the question, can we allow those memories to flow again and melt again? Sometimes we're not ready to do that. Sometimes it is yes. And then it is just giving permission for the parts in ourselves, in our body, in our life experience, stories and of our ancestors that were frozen through time, that we can give permission to that to slowly melt again. And I feel heart music pretty much helping to go into that peace and just let things happen without actively doing it. And the idea that if things are melting and flowing again, then it's not only grief or hard stuff, but it's also the joy. It's also the pleasure, the love that, for example, I don't know, previous generations maybe wanted to do the birthwork that I'm doing now, and they didn't have the chance. So those dreams, if they can flow again, then I can feel how I fully embody it now and how I
Mm.
have to do that. And how through me this can also flow through next generations. And I love the idea, especially of water, that is so cyclical, right? Things are melting and then they I don't know what's the word in English, but when it's hot, it's like damping again.
Evaporates. It evaporates.
So thinking about that means also that the water that goes through our body captures like the stories of people of billion years ago.
Totally.
And that feels so fascinating to me, to know that we have all the resume.
Hmm. Well, the metaphor of water, I can tie that into so many different aspects of my life. We from like in birth, we want moms to flow, we want them to melt, and I really like your metaphor there of the memories as the I want to say, like, what I felt from that was, like, the ice cubes, that are, like, getting blocked and that are hitting each other and, like, want them to melt and, like, reintegrate into the experience, and there's oftentimes in birth, there's so many emotional blockages that cause physical blockages when we just need to break and to release and to surrender into the entire thing. But the metaphor for water that I'm using constantly in my life is, like, being in a state of flow, and that sometimes the current is like going way too fast and I feel like I'm about to drown. And then other times I'm just like floating and it's blissful. And other times it's stuck and like we need to get the water flowing again. Do you have any upcoming offerings or performances that we can learn about?
Yes, let's see. So I'm traveling very soon. So I'm pausing a bit my work. And there's a lot. I'm creating a more clear program for people during preconception, one-on-one offer, where I would love to support people and think about like, okay, their personal story, but also what do they want to offer in their little family, and what kind of village do they want to have for their family and their children, also including the persons that maybe are not physically present anymore. How can they include them into that story? And yeah, there's some workshops and group programs like that I'm preparing, but that are not out yet. So I think if people feel like getting curious, then I would suggest that they just like check out my Instagram. It's at Your Voyage Home, or look at my website, or send me a DM or an email, because I love to hear where people at.
What advice? I feel like something really cool that you're doing that is a little bit outside of the traditional European box. And you identified this earlier in our conversation, but the entrepreneurial aspect of this field. And I love that you are creating offerings and creating workshops and creating circles and creating ceremonies. And that is a step that a lot of birth workers feel really blocked in taking. And I'm often telling them, like, build it and they shall come, like just put it out there and the right people will find you. Do you have any like words of wisdom or personal experience in ways that we can like motivate our fellow birth workers to create more offerings? Because that's like my big goal is like getting more birth workers working and continuing to amplify the mission that we're all behind.
Yes, I have to say, this is such a challenge for me. It's just my first year as an entrepreneur. And I decided from the start.
Welcome.
So I decided from the start, I don't want to do it in a way like, just the idea of entrepreneurship felt so masculine, but not in a masculine way that fits my body. So since the start, I was like, I'm going to take it slow. I'm just going to take it slow, and I'm going to honor the rhythm that is coming up. And what has been incredibly important to me is sending messages to the people where I felt like I resonate with your work. I recognize myself here. And I would just go there and follow that gut feeling. If you feel that someone,
Hmm.
like a good friend or something, just go and send them a message. This is something how I do it. But I would really feel like following your gut, staying very true to what you feel that is right. Yeah. Find your supporters, find the people that believe in your work.
Mm.
Share with the ones that feel good, and don't force yourself in taking steps where you're not ready for yet. Like, if you feel that it's a big step, then okay, listen to your body, listen to the moments that you feel like, okay, maybe I just need some extra time. And the moment that you honor those hesitations as just like questions of, are you ready yet? And honor that and take that pause. Maybe you just need to take an extra before the next step will come.
Well, I really appreciate that you are, again, flowing, like flowing in where it feels good. And the piece I'm going to tell you and to anybody else listening is to not let your imposter syndrome get in the way. That,
Mhm.
like, yes, go ahead and take that breath and like connect with you and what feels right. But if you are also like, I have an idea for this offering, or I connected with this person and I think that together we could create something really cool, you like you do not need another training. You do not another 5 years of experience. Like, you do not need to like continue building out your resume in order to start supporting your community.
And I do want to give a nuance, like I said about the masculine energy, but you need the masculine energy.
Absolutely.
You need to feel held. You need like also your inner masculine energy. It's so important as an entrepreneur that we nourish that, and that we feel
Hmm.
that it's present, because if not, I can feel it when I'm too much in my feminine, then everything just falls apart, right? You need a framework or something that can support it. And there are moments
Totally.
you not do it yourself, and then it's good to ask for help there, or to
Yeah.
reach out to people that can complement you in it. But it's important to have those examples of people that make you believe it's possible, and to follow
Hmm.
the people that show you that it's good. Like when I started as an entrepreneur, I joined a community in Bruges that is focused on self care for entrepreneurs. And they are
Love
really
that.
focusing on, okay, it's not only about numbers, but how do you feel in your business? How do you feel? And do you ever take time to reflect on it?
Well, that ties back in earlier to what you were saying about we give our clients tools of asking those around them for help because we are generally the collective we pretty terrible at asking for help. And then professional caregivers, such as birth workers, are terrible at receiving care. I'm so bad at receiving care. I'm so bad at asking for help because I love to help others, love showing up, love being that presence, but then receiving it is very challenging.
And I want to pick up on that because when I was on the Berlin Summit, to me, that was so interesting to be in a space full of people that know how to hold other people, that know how to be present with like the raw and pure emotions. And I remember that first day that it was actually a bit of a shock for my system because I was still holding things that I felt, I should hold this on my own. And then all of a sudden, there was so many people that you could just feel like they were inviting me to soften. And
Mhm.
I used to do that. Like I learned a lot. I'm way better than before, but I felt the shock in my system to not have like one person like that next to me, but all of a sudden 130 persons like that next. It's really like this is another level of surrendering that is possible here. But it felt so good.
Yeah.
It was really something that the moment that I let go of it and felt like, okay, it doesn't matter if I'm crying here right now. Everyone will understand. And I can explain, but I don't need to. They're just here and they will be like, hey. There was one moment that I just asked the person next to me and I said, like, could you hold my hand for a moment? And then she did that.
Mhm.
At that time, that was all I needed. Knowing that there is someone present and that I can ask, and she wouldn't at all look at me like, what are you asking? She would just be like, of course.
Yeah. It's really special when a bunch of birth workers come together. Like, that's the magic of our trips. Our trips, we only have 8 to 12 people, but that's the case. It's like, well, and I get to tell everybody as they come to the info sessions and they're learning about the trips, I'm like, well, the best news ever is you get to spend 10 days with other birth workers. Like, baseline. That is the best part because because we're skilled. Like, we're skilled in meeting people where they're at. We're skilled in active listening. We're skilled in space holding. Like, those are skills that we all share across the different fields that we're in under the birthwork umbrella. And so then you multiply that by 13 and you get 130 people who are incredibly passionate and empathetic and just there with the same intention and the same mission. I'm still just in shock. People are still asking me like, how was the summit? And I'm just like, it was the best time of my life. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. And it's only the start, I can feel it. Even today, I was talking about it with a friend and I said, like, it was almost like my cells were opening and absorbing something new in a level that I never experienced before. But I cannot unlearn that. Like I'm taking it with me. It's in my body. It's in my
You just gave me chills.
yes, and I cannot pretend like that I don't know now like how it is to be in community or how to be held or and I'm longing for it or because I need it. And like those moments just show you like it's not an illusion. It's not an illusion
Hmm.
you're thinking about or what you're dreaming of. It's in us and we just need to come together. And once it's there, we can also feel that from a distance. Like
Yeah.
just think about the Berlin Summit and I feel like, okay, we're in this together.
I love that. Well, obviously that just like makes my heart sing. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for spending this time with me and for sharing more about your journey and about your work. And I feel as though it's something that will resonate with a lot of people.
Thank you for having me, Charlotte. I really enjoyed the conversation. And I just would love to also share a little part of the song that I wrote. that I was talking about earlier in the conversation.
Zungalaye, Zungalaye, Malaikata lohore, mareka rekalo, malaika lekatale, moreo, malaikata lohore, mareka rekalo, malaika lekatale, moreo. Ningoleo, ningoleozo, zungalaye, zungalayele, ningoleo, ningoleozo, zungalaye, zungalayele. Senza pocarolia, calo, senza mancare di ya hoya, senza poco rido, 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 aya, mi together, emotie. Lambati karu mayanire ya pinala poka hora ya pikora baba ya pikora baba kora mi 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 cora, mi cora, mi cora, mi Yeppi cora, baba cora, mi Ningoleo, ningoleoso Zungalaye, zungalayele Ningoleo, ningoleoso Zungalaye, zungalayele. Que jogará cocunga, que jogará cocoha, que jogará cocumba, minoco cocoro, tira vira malaca, tira vira mabo, tira vira mizunga, meno mircado.
I'm so touched by that beautiful song. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode and today's song. Thank you for listening to the Wombs of the World podcast, where culture is dynamic and birth is universal. These conversations are an offering, a reminder that birth is sacred, that connection is healing, and when we honor the womb, we honor the world. To learn more about our programs, trainings, and global maternal health initiatives, please visit wombsoftheworld.com or connect with us on Instagram at Wombs of the World. Until next time, may you walk gently, listen deeply, and remember that birth belongs to all of us.